everybody. My name is Carrie. Thank you so much for being here. Today is January 4th, 2021. That's the day I'm recording. I'm probably not going to get this edited for a little bit, but I wanted to take the opportunity that I had to get a recording done. I hope everybody had a good holiday, regardless of what it is that you celebrate. I hope you were able to see people that were in your bubble. We did go away to the coast with my son and son-in-law and had a fabulous time. We just sat around and ate and drank and played games and watched movies, and it was just really fun. It's a really great time to just sort of relax but hang around and be with each other. So I had a really good time. We've already made reservations for next year, so that's exciting. We'll be in a different house, but we'll still go to the coast. This was our 8th year doing it, which kind of surprised me that we'd been doing it that long. But it's our new tradition for us to do that. So we had fun. New Year's was pretty uneventful. I was online with my virtual knit night group for a while, and then, went to bed before midnight, woke up to all the hoopla, and then went back to sleep. So, I'm too old for all that stuff. Done it in the past, and I'm happy with just staying home, and we don't generally go anywhere, do anything anyway, because I don't want to be out on the road. So it was fine. It was really good. So looking forward to a new year, setting myself some goals. I guess I don't do resolutions, but I'm going to really try hard to at least lose some weight, the weight that I've gained over COVID, because before all the shutdowns and all that stuff, I would walk about 4 to 5 miles a day, and I worked on my feet running around for 3 hours. So I put in a ton of steps, and that all stopped in the middle of March. So I still go for walks, but I go for 1 walk a day instead of 2, which is my bad, and I'm going to try and do better. It is easier when the weather starts to get a little bit better. We'll start getting lighter later and that kind of thing, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try really hard to lose that COVID weight plus, because I needed to lose weight before COVID. So it's just not been good. So that's my goal. That's really my only goal, is to just make myself be healthier in my choices, I guess. So, hopefully you guys all have set some goals for yourself, and hopefully it involves making stuff, because that's what it's all about. I wanted to share with you some of the makes that I did that I was making for gifts that I didn't feel like I could share prior to giving them to the recipients. There are still a couple that I haven't been able to see the recipients for, so I'm going to have to hold off on some of them, but I'll share with you some of the other ones. So one of the things that I did was I wanted to make something for my friends, my closer friends, with some ice dyeing fabric. I try and be very specific with what I'm making for somebody. Like, have somebody in mind when I'm making whatever I'm making. So the intention is for that person. So I had some ideas to make some things with ice dyeing, because I really enjoyed that whole process of doing that. I want to do some more of it now that the holidays are over. I have some ideas of some more that I want to do. So look for that in the future. I did make a little tote that I made for Leslie of the Naughty Knitwits. I didn't take a picture. I forgot. I don't know why. I looked through my phone and I just didn't take a picture. But Leslie did show it on their most recent episode of the Naughty Knitwits, and you can see it there. It is just a shorter tote. I thought it would be good for her spinning, to maybe put fiber in it as she's spinning or something. So she'll use it for whatever. But I thought it turned out really well. Picked colors that I felt were her or something she would like. I did another tote, more of a shopping bag style, I guess, a little bit bigger. And I'll put a picture of that here. That I made for my friend Lori, and I took fabric, and with the intention it was going to be this bag. So I tried a technique to so that the two sides of the bag had some kind of a design to it. So that was really nice, and I think I need to make myself one because I really liked it a lot. And then I also made an apron, and I made that for Michelle. And when I dyed it with the intention of the fact that an apron's A-line, because you've got, what's up at the upper body is narrower and then it goes wider. And so I wanted to do something that had a design in the wider area. And so I wanted to do that spiral design that I had done previously. And you can see my ice dyeing stuff that I did probably 2 or 3 episodes ago. I forget which, but I showed it before. And so this is the apron that I made for Michelle. And it is a reversible apron. I just put black solid on the backside. So if she wanted to not have it be like crazy on the front, she could switch it around. The pattern I did use for that is a pattern that I borrowed from a friend. She's made a few aprons, and I knew she had an apron pattern that would look good. And so I borrowed her pattern. It was the Mary Malaris Church Ladies apron. It says it takes a yard of each fabric, and I felt like I used about 1.25 yards of each fabric. And I didn't put pockets on it. The pattern calls for putting pockets, but the pockets would have gone right over the design that I had dyed. So she didn't get pockets, but I think it turned out really nice. And she also briefly showed that on their their just most recent episode. So those were really fun. It was fun to dye it with the intent of a specific person, knowing I was going to make a specific thing with it rather than just randomly dyeing, So those were really fun, and I feel like those were well received. Another gift that I made was a birthday gift for my friend Aaron. He is a guitar player. He's a very good guitar player. And I had this idea. I had purchased some zipper pouches, plain zipper pouches. I got them on Amazon. I think it came in a pack of 10 or something. No frills, little zipper on it. And my intent was, I could ice dye these and they'd be nice little zipper pouches. So I had these. And then I got the idea of somehow doing a guitar on the pouch. So I worked with Chip to find out what kind of guitar he had and the color and kind of the specifics of it. I found a cross-stitch pattern that was the same guitar that he has, the same brand, Les Paul guitar. And I thought, well, I'll cross stitch on this pouch, and then he can have an Oceans pouch or whatever he wants to do with it. He doesn't have to, he can throw it in his underwear drawer. I don't care. So what I did is I got the cross stitch pattern, and I just pinned the Aida cloth to the top of, to one side of the pouch, and I cross stitched it. Long time ago, I did a cross stitch, and there was a technique where you can cross stitch onto clothing, and you do the cross stitch over the Aida fabric, which is temporarily attached to your clothing. And then when you're done, you strand by strand pull the Aida cloth out. I thought, okay, I'll do that. That'll be easy. So one thing that would have been easier, it wasn't as easy as it should have been. So one of the things that would have probably been easier is normally when you cross stitch, you put it in a hoop and you have something that stretches it tight. Well, there's not a lot of space. And I had to work just in the opening. And I didn't have a doodad. What the hell? I didn't have a thing. Embroidery hoop. I didn't have an embroidery hoop small enough to fit this, but then to be big enough for the design, you know what I mean? So I did it without one, and I just was crossing my fingers that it was going to work. And so I got it all cross-stitched on, and then I proceeded to start trying to pull strand by strand, and it came out pretty well in some areas, and then it just got stuck, and those strands were not coming out. I'll be putting some pictures here so that you can kind of see the progress. So I ended up having to go between the stitches with the needle and pull the stitch and then pull it out because it wouldn't just slide through all of the stitches. So it ended up kind of messing up the stitching a little bit just because I had to monkey with it for so much. I eventually did get it all out as far as I know. If there's anything that's left under the cross stitch, no one will ever know. And I think it turned out pretty well. I also knew because I was cross stitching on this type of a situation, all the ends were going to be in here and I needed to line it. Well, lining it is a lot easier when you're actually constructing the bag, but being this was a bag already made, I couldn't really do that. So I took some of my ice dyed fabric, measured this to the best of my ability to fit inside, and then sewed it in there. And it's not as good as if it didn't turn out as good as it would have had I made the bag. And looking back on it, I should have just made the damn bag because it would have been a lot easier to cross stitch. It would have ended up looking nicer, but I think it's okay. He seemed to like it. And then I thought, well, it needs a zipper pull because, you know, he's a guy, he's got bigger hands and you need a zipper pull. So I thought, I know, I'm going to make a guitar pick shape zipper pull. So I got online, did a Google search of images, found an image of a guitar pick so I had the right kind of shape. And then I thought I'll just do it out of Shrinky Dink. So Shrinky Dink is a plastic. It was around when I was a kid. It's still around. I have some of it because I have played with it fairly recently. And I thought I'll just Shrinky Dink it. And then I've got when it's shrunk, when the plastic shrinks, it gets to be fairly thick and firm. It's very hard. And I know he's a huge fan of Prince. So I got the image of Prince's symbol, drew that on there, and then shrank it. And it ended up being the perfect size zipper pull because it started really big. You can see in the picture with it in my hand, and then it shrunk down to a pretty good size. So overall, I think that it looked really good. It was a lot of fun to work on for him. Filled it with his favorite candies and sent it to him for his birthday, and he seemed to like it. So, you know, in hindsight, I probably should have made the damn bag to begin with. I was trying to save myself time by having these. I do want to try and ice dye these because I think this is a nice little size for just little notions and stuff. And I have quite a few of them now. So that may be down the pike a little bit. Then, let's see, what else did I do? I had talked about how in Jim's family we pick names for exchanging gifts. And it's something that I don't like to do because none of us really need anything and not everybody really has the money to be spending, and I don't really need anybody to be spending money on me. And so it's just kind of weird. But anyway, they still do it because they can't let go of anything. We had his sister, and that ended up being not what I wanted to do at all. And so, I wanted to come up with something. I just couldn't give her a card with money in it. You know, like that's pretty much all she asked for, which was ridiculous. And I couldn't just do that. So I thought, let me knit her a cowl. And I thought I'll do it on my knitting machine so that I'm not having to do it by hand. It'll go a little bit faster. Went through my stash, found some crazy bright yarn that I had dyed back when I used to dye for my shop and stuff, and I thought this will be perfect. So I knit a tube cowl, Kitchenered it together so that she can just have a nice warm cowl for when she goes to work. And she loves bright colors and tie-dye and stuff, and I thought that's just perfect. So it actually, I think, turned out really well. And we went and met with his family, sat in one of his sister's garages, all very separate. You know, we were in her garage, the doors open, and you know, like Jim and I sat together because we're in our bubble, and everybody sat apart with masks and all that. And they're like, excuse me, they didn't want to open gifts. We put our bag in the middle of the room and said, this is for you. And then sat down, and then that person came and got it. And it was just, it was fine. So I didn't get to see her open it. And she texted and said, thanks for everything. So boom, there you go. We are not doing that anymore. That was the last year. So I'm glad that part's over, and it was just hard for me to not have anything feel very personal. So I tried to make it personal. I'm getting dots because the sun came out. It's been pouring down rain. That's kind of weird. It's been pouring down rain. On Saturday, it rained almost 2 inches here just in one day. And that's a lot of rain. And we get a lot of rain in Oregon, but that's a lot of rain all at once. So this morning it was just dumping, and now it's kind of, the sun's peeking out. So sorry for the little dots, but I'm not sorry for the sunshine. I love it. So as you can see, the little squares on my design wall are all the little squares I made. I crocheted granny squares with the minis that Michelle from Naughty Knitwits gave me for Christmas. And I stuck with it every day. I made a square. It was the perfect little project because I knew I could do a square. And, you know, it didn't take a long time. And so that's what I've got. A couple of them are squares from other minis that I had. It's not all. She gave me 24 minis, and that's more than that. I don't know how many is up there. But yeah, I think that's going to be really neat. I'm going to continue making squares. I have minis still left over from the previous years that I haven't used all the way up. And so I'm just going to keep making squares, and I'm just putting them in a box. And when I get enough to put together to make a blanket, then that's what it's going to be. So yeah, that's it for now. So last year I was making the zigzag scarf with my minis, and I got, you know, a ways, not a huge amount of space. And then I stopped because it was just like there's a gazillion ends, because I would go, you know, just 2 rows back and forth, and then there's ends, and back and forth, and there's ends to try and give this stripe. And so I lost interest in it just because I thought no. So it's been sitting, and I thought, well, I've already knit part of it, and I like the way it looks. I kind of hate to take it out. I've already cut all the ends, and most of them were woven in, and what am I going to do with it? And then I had an idea, so let me share that with you. So what I did is I ended up binding off, because I had it still on, I think I put it on waste yarn because I'd already taken the needles out. I bound it off so it's the size that it was, and I decided to make a banner type thing to put my pins on. So that's as far as I got. I did the bind off here, and then I've hung some progress keepers. And then I took the pins off of the various bags because I had them on a couple on this bag and some on that bag. And I never could see them all the time. It just would be if I happened to use that bag. And so I thought, well, this is a better way for me to see them. So I took some black felt and I just sewed it, just machine sewed it to the back, to the knitted piece. And I made a little pocket with a dowel, painted the ends of the dowel, and crocheted a chain to hang it with. And I'm so happy with this because I will now see this every day when I'm up here and knitting or crocheting or whatever. And the felt helps stabilize this knitted piece, because after a while this wouldn't hang right. But the felt is just acrylic felt, so it's not going anywhere. And I think it's a great way to reuse the project that I had started that was never going to get finished. And it's a great way for me to see all my pins. I don't have a ton, but I have enough. And now if I do see one that I like, I will get it, because I know I can put it on this and it will be shown. I didn't really care for them on my bags, so this will be a lot better. So I was really happy with that. Something else that I did is I have done some sock tubes on my knitting machine. I talked about how I figured out how to knit in the round on a flatbed machine. So I got this pair done. This is Felici, and I think the color is like bubblegum, and I've had Felici for years, so I don't even know if this is a color that's still out there, but I did an afterthought heel with the Felici, so it blends with it. I think it looks really nice. You've got a couple of different looks to it. They fit nicely and I'm super happy with it. I did knit another couple of tubes. This is Felici, this is Punch Bug. So this is a newer color, rainbow, but it's sort of muted. So I'm gonna put, you know, do the heels and toes and stuff, and I have quite a bit left over. And it's really nice to have that like ready to go. That's a really good like ready to go project. I did on these, let's see if you can see, was it this one? I was having an issue with it skipping a stitch or something. It was doing something really weird on this 1 or 2 needles. So, and I don't care, it doesn't bother me. But on this pair, when I knitted and I got to where I was going to put the heel, so I knew how many rows I wanted to do. Before I was going to put the heel, I just put, I hand stitched or hand knit on the machine with the contrasting yarn, and that way I could just, that would be where my heel goes. But it left a big hole where you join and make a new heel, and I didn't care for that. I had to kind of sew that up, and it looks a little messy. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's in my shoe, it's in my sock, it's not a big deal. But I think what works better is if I just mark it with a light bulb marker like that, and then that's where I'll put my heel. And then I talked with Aquila. I messaged her because she's lefty knitter and she's been cranking tubes on her circular sock machine. And so I said, how are you getting your heels to look so good? And so she said that she takes that, you know, you put your stitches on your needles, and then when you take out that 1 row of knitting to give you the hole, is to leave a couple stitches still on either side. And so I did that on a pair that's for a gift that I can't show you right now. And that, I think that looked better. So that's going to be my go-to at this point, is to do that. So if you have any kind of like afterthought heel suggestions, or can direct me to, you know, a video or something of how it can be better, that'd be great. I do knit, I picked up the stitches, leave a couple of stitches on either side, and then knit 3 rows before I start doing the decreases. So it's giving me a little bit more space in there. I'm going to try, I think the next pair that I knit on the machine, I can't really do ribbing because I'm using the ribber to knit, but I think if I skip a stitch, that'll give me kind of like a ribbing, to see if I get a little bit more give in it. They fit me, but it's that heel, which the heel flap and gusset does fit me the best, but I won't be knitting socks unless I can do them on my machine like this, so it's got to be an afterthought heel. So I am enjoying that a lot, doing that. I'm going to get these Punch Bug socks done. That's my next pair before I crank more, but I did get, that was my newer color, my newer Felici color. And then I got another color, which I already had. So now I have 4 skeins of the same color. And I'm thinking maybe I'll make socks for somebody and just gift them. Or if there's a pattern that uses the self-striping yarn for like a cowl or something, I might do that. So we'll see. I did cast on my sweater for my New Year's sweater. My virtual knit night group is doing the Montrealer. I don't feel like that's a sweater for me, but I want to knit a sweater with them, so I'm knitting a different pattern. Talked about this last time. So I'm doing the Bright Note sweater by Janine McCarty. It is a worsted weight sweater. I dyed the yarn for it. I wanted a dark eggplant purple, and that's what I did. So I've got, I've got sleeve holes, and that's it so far. So this is my body color, and if you notice on the pattern at the bottom, there's some color work, stripes. There's 4 different colors in the pattern, and I goofed up and only ordered 3. I thought about ordering a 4th, and I just think I'll just do three different colors. I'll just do fewer stripes because there's not a fourth color that's very different from what I already have. And so I think it'll look like I have 2 stripes in the same color. But I got Chroma Twist worsted from Knit Picks. This is the Sedona colorway. So it's oranges to purples and stuff. That'll look really, really good with that. Another color I got, my third color, and I don't know what order I'm actually going to put this in. This is Lupin. So you've got pinks and purples and aquas and all those pretty colors. And that looks good with it. And then I've got Fathoms, which is greens and blues. So the blue is down in there. And that's going to look really good. So see, this is a neutral. This is like my black, I guess, or my gray. Like a lot of people wear gray. I get a little washed out with gray, although this is like a blue or gray. And it's okay. So that's great. I mean, now I'm just knitting in the round. This is a non-super wash, so it should hold its shape. These are super wash, but I figure since it's just that little blip of color work, it shouldn't be a problem because it's not the structure of the sweater and it's at the bottom, so it's not really having to hold anything up. That's my theory. I could be completely off track, but that's my theory. So I got a ways to go. I have to go like 11 something inches from the armhole and I'm only like 2. So I'll be knitting on that for a while. Although worsted does go a little bit faster. For Christmas, Robert and Michael gave me a Nintendo Switch, which is like a handheld gaming system thing. And I'm not a gamer. I'm horrible at it. I like run into things I can't do, the ones where you have to like jump at the right time and somebody's chasing you. I die all the time. I'm terrible. So it was kind of surprising that they got me this because I'm just not a gamer, but they gave me Animal Crossing, which has been so much fun. That's really my pace. You just walk around and you fish and you collect things. And I've got scuba gear so I can go in the ocean. And I just love swimming around in the ocean. It's crazy because you're not doing anything. You're not really accomplishing anything, but I'm having so much fun with it. And so some of my knitting time has been spent sitting and playing Animal Crossing. They gave me another game that they thought Jim and I could use together. And I haven't even taken it out of the package because I've only played the Animal Crossing. And it's like you help somebody move and you have to work together to move things. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. But anything where you have to like hop from here to here and your timing has to be right, I'm lousy because I don't know what buttons I'm supposed to push. So I just push all of them and then that doesn't work. Because it'll say, and even if Robert's like standing there trying to help me, goes, push X. Well, I don't know which one's X. I have to look at it, find X. Well, by then you're dead. So I'm terrible at gaming, but this Animal Crossing has been really fun. So anyway, so there's several podcasters, and I don't have the list of them, but I know Chevy Rell is one of the podcast hosts of this Make Along, and it's a new to you 2021 Make Along. And the idea is try something new, and it does not have to be knitting. It can be anything that it's new to you. And I was interested in trying, and I thought that I really don't know what I want to try that I haven't already tried. Now, I try a lot of different things. I'm not good at all of them. I'm good at some of them, but not all of them, but I do try. And so it was hard to find something that I hadn't tried before. And I thought, you know what? I haven't tried weaving. And I have been interested in it. And I've thought about getting a loom. And I have a friend from my local knit group that has a shot cricket rigid heddle loom. And I said, can I borrow that? She's like, sure. Because I'm like, I'll get a loom. I'll just weave all kinds of kitchen towels and everybody's going to get a kitchen towel and everybody's going to get something woven. I'm like, wait a second. You don't even know if you like to do this yet. Why don't you borrow the loom and see if you like it? So I did. I'm not sure if I'm liking it yet. I'm still feeling very awkward with it, but this is the loom. So she has a 15-inch loom. And so I looked for videos. I followed the instructions in the booklet that comes with it, and I got it all set up, and I got weaving on it. So I'm going to pull it over here so I can show you guys. Okay, so first of all, there's warp and weft. So your warp is your vertical strands that go the length of your project, and your weft is what you're weaving back and forth. So I thought I'm just going to use stuff that I have. She had a 12 dent heddle, which does fingering weight. I'm like, okay, perfect. I have fingering weight. So I have this cheap loops and threads. This is Joann's or Michael's or something. I don't know what it is, where it's from. Oh, Michael's. Looks like it's from Michael's. It's acrylic and nylon. Feels like wool. So, medium blue color. Then I dug out, this is a strand, or a skein of stuff that I dyed back in the day. This was Celebration, and I thought, well, these two, they go together. So, wound it all onto my little, this isn't a heddle. It's the thing that goes back and forth. There's a name for it. And there you go. So the thing that's nice about this loom is it is portable. It's small. I prop it. It has little grooves, so you prop it on the table and then rest it on your lap. That felt really, really awkward at first. It kept falling off my lap. Tried doing it on the table, and I was doing this too much, and it was really bothering my shoulders. But I think I've got it figured out. So I just unrolled it a little bit so you can see the fabric I'm making. And there you go. It's turning out pretty good. I'm getting quite far. That's probably 16 to 18 inches now. I had I had an error, a user error. You have to feed your yarn through all these little slots, and then there's actually holes in the petal. If you can see the holes, and so you have to pull a strand through a hole, and I missed a hole. So it had two strands in the slot because I didn't move one over to the hole, which gave me a weird kind of a run down the middle. And then Nanette, who does a ton of weaving, really good weaver, she has Nanette Wake Studio. She does all of the things. She dyes and she weaves and she knits and she does all the things. So she messaged me and told me how I could fix it. And I thought, okay, at that point I had done, 6 inches or so. And I thought, well, this is a practice piece. Rhonda, who lent me the loom, said, don't expect your first piece to turn out. Just put that out of your head that it's not going to turn out. And I said, okay. So I'm like, okay, it's whatever. It's got a run in it. I'm just trying to get the feel of it. And I thought, no, part of learning all of this is to also learn how to fix your mistakes. So I did it. There's a couple of spots where I didn't fix it 100%. Can you see right here? So that didn't get fixed quite right, but it's just a little blip, because I thought if I leave that strand wrong like that, then that's going to be, if this does turn out, I'm going to be pissed that I didn't fix it, because I'm like, well, now it turned out, except it's got this run down it. So my goal right now is to finish. So I have till I run out of the blue. I've got plenty of this, so it'll be quite long. I thought, well, it could be like a table runner or something, but I think I might actually take the fabric and make a bag out of it, because I think that would be kind of a cool way to use it. So I'm liking it. I liked it better yesterday when I sat down to do it some more. It felt like I was getting into a little bit more of a flow with it. I'm not sure that it's completely grabbing me like other things where I can't not do it. You know what I mean? Like I can't not knit. I can't not create other things. I love to sit and spin. Part of what I have to figure is I only have so much time in the day. And granted, I'm off work right now. Eventually I'll be going back to work. Things will be going back to something. and I will have less time. But even right now, because I have more time, I've filled it with more crafting and stuff. And so it's like, that means I'm not going to be able to spin, or I'm not going to be able to do something else. I only have so much time to craft. So I can't really take on a new craft as something that I do regularly because I just don't have the time for it. So for now, I'm just doing it because it's part of the make along. I'm glad that I got to borrow the loom. That was super fortunate because, you know, they're not terribly expensive, but it would have been a few $100s. And it could have just been something that sat there because I could have went, So I'm going to keep going with this until it's done because I could tell yesterday that things were feeling a little bit more in a rhythm. And if I know I was putting on some podcasts or some movies or something like that to watch, because it is kind of, it's repetitive and monotonous, but some people could say that about knitting. And I really like that. So it's whatever it is to you. Vicki also reached out and said, let me know if you need any help. I'm here to help you. So super thankful for those that offered help because I have no clue. And we'll see what happens. Right now, I'm not hooked. I like it. I like it enough, but I'm not hooked. So that's probably good because if I was really hooked, then I'd be having that dilemma of when am I going to do this? Because, you know, there's only so much time in a day. So there's a couple of new yarns. Now, I don't buy a whole lot of yarn because I'm the same way with fabric and stuff. Unless I know what project it's for, to just buy a random skein is hard because then you just have like a random skein. And most projects need more than one skein of yarn. So there's that. But Kirby Werby she's such a good stripe dyer, self-striping yarn dyer. And so she's had this whole series of Schitt's Creek, which I loved the series. I watched it from the beginning, you know, when it was first on. I wouldn't mind watching the series again because it was just good. It's just a lighthearted, funny, good, touch your heart kind of a thing. Anyway, she had a colorway that she did that is it's Rose Apothecary Remix. It's 22 stripes. And I just loved the colors. So she had an update. I set my alarm, and I never set my alarm to get anything because I figure if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. But this one, I was going to make sure that it was going to be. And so I got it. This is really hard to show what it's going to look like because there's so much to it. 22 stripe. I'm almost thinking I can't make socks with it. Although I know it'll make really pretty socks, but I know I won't use all of it. And I want to use all of it. So if you've got a pattern for something other than a hat, because I could always do a sockhead hat or something like that, but I don't wear a lot of hats. I will wear a cowl or something. So if there's something you know that would do good with self-striping sock yarn, please leave it in the comment below or message me on Instagram or something. Because I just feel like this shouldn't just be socks because I won't be able to use enough of it. So I was really thankful that I got it. I got one, picked one up from Michelle too because she was busy getting Renata from the airport, and I'm like, I'm going to get on there. I'll just get two. And I was lucky because it sold out within minutes. And then she had a few more that she put on, and that sold out. So they go really fast, and I just feel really lucky that I got some. And then I heard of this dyer on a podcast, and I can't remember who. It was either on Needles at the Ready or Sweet Tea No Shade. I can't remember who showed, from Blue Fiber Company, and he's a Portland dyer. So this is a worsted weight, and it's that zebra stripe kind of yarn. I've seen it. You know, it's kind of made its way around the dyers, and I'm just curious how this is going to knit up. So this will probably be a hat. It is Peruvian wool, so it's a little bit rustic. So what I thought I could do is if I made like a double layer, when you do like where it's lined, and do whatever inside as more of like a superwash or something like that, so that it's, well, you can't really do that because this isn't superwash. I don't know. I'm going to figure something, but I thought that was real pretty. Kind of a little bit more masculine in the fact that they're not this. So, real pretty colors. That was good. That's really all I bought. I didn't buy a lot. I know that there was Black Fridays and after Christmas and end of inventory, whatever. I didn't get any of that stuff. There is a podcast I just found this morning, and I've only watched a part of it, but I found myself, I was sat down to make my notes for the podcast, and I was flipping around and had it on. I kept finding myself stopping to listen to this gal, and I didn't catch her name, and she said it in the very beginning, but it's Little Monkeys and Me, and she, I think she's going to be interesting. So check her out. She only has, 50 subscribers or something like that. But I liked it. Like I said, I kept stopping to listen to her. So that's a new one that you can maybe check out and give her some love or something. I like to support when people are trying, because, we all started somewhere. And I thought she was doing a really good job. So that's it for me today. I hope that the start of your year 2021 is starting off well, and keep making, and I will be back when I have more stuff to show you, probably in 3 or 4 weeks. So I will see you later. Bye.